The evening sun was sinking low over the desert plains, the horizon stretching wide in endlessness, painted in hues of crimson and gold as the dying light bled across the sky and cast long shadows over the earth, and into this vast emptiness rode a lone man named Samuel Kane, a rancher by blood, a wanderer by choice, a man hardened by years of solitude, betrayal, and the merciless hand of the frontier. His tall frame hunched slightly in the saddle from exhaustion, but his eyes sharp and restless, scanning the horizon as if forever searching for something just out of reach. And on this night, as he guided his weary horse toward a shallow creek where the water shimmered faintly under the rising moon, his path, his life, and his destiny would change in ways he could never have imagined. For as he dismounted to let his horse drink and bent to scoop a handful of cool water into his parched mouth, a sound reached his ears, soft at first, so faint it could have been the rustle of the wind, but then again, more distinct, trembling, a voice soaked with fear, whispering words that froze his heart, "Please see broken bar, don't touch me," and he straightened at once, every nerve alive, hand instinctively brushing the worn handle of his revolver, the weapon as much a part of him as his shadow, and he crept toward the sound, his boots silent against the sandy ground, his breath steady, the desert holding its own breath with him as he edged around a jagged outcrop of rock. And there, in the dim silver wash of moonlight, he saw Hira, a young woman, her dark hair tangled like a raven's nest, her simple dress too worn and dirty, her wrists cruelly bound with rawhide that bit into her skin, her wide, terrified eyes staring up at the brute who loomed over her, a man with a cruel sneer, whiskey breath heavy in the night, his hand reaching down again despite her trembling plea, his voice low and mocking as if her fear amused him, and something primal surged in Samuel's chest, a fury cold and righteous, because he had seen enough of cruelty in his life to know when to end it, and without hesitation, he drew his revolver, the steel gleaming faint in the moonlight, and the crack of the gunshot split the silence like thunder, echoing off the canyon walls, sending a flock of birds shrieking into the night sky, and the brute staggered, shock frozen on his face before he collapsed lifeless into the dust at the woman's feet, the desert swallowing his last breath without ceremony, leaving only the sharp smell of gunpowder hanging in the still air, and for a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the ragged sobs of the girl as she shrank back against the broken wagon behind her, her bound hands trembling, her lips still moving in a broken whisper, "Don't a broken bar, don't touch me," as if the words themselves were all she had left to protect her, and Samuel, lowering his revolver slowly, knelt before her, his voice calm, low, steady as he said, "Easy now, a broken bar, I ain't here to hurt you, you're safe now. No one's gonna harm you." I let draw breath, but still she stared at him, her chest heaving, her whole body trembling like a deer cornered by wolves, and Samuel felt the weight of her fear pressing against him, heavier than any burden he had carried before, so he set his gun aside, raising his calloused hands open in the universal language of peace, then carefully, gently, cut through the rawhide that bound her wrists with the edge of his knife, the leather snapping loose, leaving angry red welts across her skin, and she flinched as if even freedom pained her, but when he draped his weathered coat around her shoulders to cover her torn dress, her sobs broke into softer cries, tears carving paths through the dirt on her face as she whispered her name in a voice so fragile he almost thought it a dream. Anna, daughter of a chief from a powerful Apache tribe that lived far beyond the mesas to the east, and Samuel's blood ran cold as realization struck him, because the man he had shot was not some nameless outlaw but a traitor, one who had betrayed her people and sought to sell her, to dishonor her, to break her spirit for his own profit, and in killing him, Samuel had not only saved her but entangled himself in the fate of a nation, for the daughter of a chief was no ordinary girl, she was the heartbeat of her people, the future of a tribe whose warriors numbered in the hundreds, and Samuel knew, as he led her to his horse and lifted her trembling form into the saddle, that by touching destiny with one shot in the night, he had ignited a storm that would shake the desert itself, and sure enough, when dawn broke, the first light of the sun spilling fire over the plains, the earth trembled beneath the pounding of hooves, the horizon darkening with the thunderous approach of 300 Apache warriors, spears glinting like fire in the morning sun, their war cries rising like the voice of the storm, and they had come for their princess, their daughter, their blood, and for the stranger who had dared to intervene, the lone man who now stood on the knife's edge between life and death, his heart steady, his hand brushing the revolver at his side as he faced the oncoming tide, knowing that whatever came next, the desert would never forget the night the girl whispered, "Please see broken bar, don't touch me," and he had answered with steel, mercy, and a choice that summoned 300 warriors to his fate.